Hello students, I am Mohita Prasad and yesterday I had given you a short introduction about the author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who has written this very famous short story, The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle. Now before we proceed, it is very important to know the meaning of a carbuncle. Carbuncle has other meanings, but with reference to the story, it means a precious jewel, a gemstone. Usually, carbuncles are red in color, but this in particular is a unique blue colored gemstone and a very precious one. And the whole adventure, the story, focuses around this blue precious carbuncle. And this is one of the 56 short stories which Conan Doyle wrote with Sherlock Holmes as the detective and Watson as his assistant, but who was professionally a medical practitioner. Regarding the setting of the story, the story takes place in London and it is the Christmas season, and both Sherlock Holmes and Watson meet a day after Christmas, that is on the 26th, and Watson pays a visit to Sherlock Holmes, the detective, to wish him the compliments of the season. So this is the background of the story, and during this Christmas season, the important news in the newspaper was about the theft of this very priceless gemstone, the blue carbuncle, and this had been robbed from the hotel suite of the Countess of Morcar. So this is the news, this is the background. Let's begin with the story. Unit 1. Now, I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes. Now, who is this I in the story? Who is the narrator of the story? The narrator of the story is Sherlock Holmes' friend Watson. And he visits his friend Sherlock the second morning after Christmas, that is the 26th, with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. That is, he goes to wish him a Merry Christmas and compliments of the season, and he finds his friend Sherlock Holmes relaxing and lounging, resting upon the sofa, wearing a purple colored dressing gown. And near him there is a pipe rack. Probably Sherlock Holmes must have been smoking, and on the other side of him there is this sheaf of newspapers which had very evidently been read by Sherlock Holmes. So this is the setting of the room, and in the room, other than these things, there is also a couch, there is a wooden chair, and there is also an angle on which there is a very dirty old hat which has been cracked in several places is hung there. Now, along with this dirty hat, there is lying on the chair some instruments like a lens and a forceps. Lens is probably used to enlarge something or to see something in a bigger shape so that you get an idea of what it is, and forceps is an instrument, a two-pronged instrument to hold something. So probably Sherlock Holmes has been very minutely examining this dirty cracked hat. You are engaged, said I. Perhaps I interrupt you. So Watson finds Sherlock Holmes busy, and he hesitates and says that since you seem to be busy, maybe I'll come some other time because I don't want to interrupt you. But what is Sherlock Holmes's response? He says, "No, not at all. I'm glad to have a friend with whom I can discuss my results." So he tells his friend Watson that he's happy to have his company, because now whatever he has examined about the hat, he would like to share it and discuss it with Watson. And he also further tells him that the matter seems to be something that is very trivial. Trivial means not very important. And he jerks his thumb, that is, he shows uh, his thumb in the direction of the old hat, pointing to the hat. I seated myself in his armchair and warmed my hands before his crackling fire, for a sharp frost had set in. So, it's Christmas season. It is very, very cold at that point of time. Watson sits down in an armchair to hear what Sherlock Holmes has to say about the hat. And while he is sitting there, he warms his hands at the fireplace, which is burning. And he says there is a sharp frost and the windows were covered with the ice crystals. So you can imagine how cold it must have been. I suppose, I remarked, that homely as it looks, this thing has some deadly story linked onto it. That is, it is the clue which will guide you in the solution of some mystery and the punishment of some crime. So what he is saying in these lines is that Sherlock Holmes says that though this hat looks very homely, it looks something very common, but he says that there is something very deadly, dangerous that is linked to it, and he would like to find a solution to the mystery or the crime through this hat. Next paragraph. "No, no, no crime," said Sherlock Holmes, laughing. "Only one of those whimsical little incidents which will happen when you have 4 million human beings all jostling each other within the space of a few square miles. Amid the reaction and the action of so dense a swarm of humanity, every possible combination of events may be expected to take place, and many a little problem will be presented which may be striking and strange without being criminal. We have already had experience of such." It's a very long paragraph, but what Sherlock Holmes is trying to say, that in London it is very crowded. You have lot of human beings who are walking together, jostling each other, and when there are so many people moving in so many different directions, there is definitely going to some event is definitely going to take place, and there will be problems and there may be some striking and strange things which would happen. And he says that Watson and he have already experienced and know about these things. There will be so many combinations, so many linkages which could give leads to the crime. So much so, I remarked, that of the last 6 cases which I have added to my notes, 3 have been entirely free of any legal crime. So he's saying over here that anything is possible, and he says many of the crime, in fact 3 of the crimes of the last 6 cases have not been in the purview of the legal what is known as the legal jurisdiction. So they don't come under the legal purview, which means it makes it more difficult to find out what the or how the person has committed this crime. We finish the first unit here. We'll begin with the second unit next time.